Okay, I can see the numbers coming in have slowed down a little bit, and I want to make sure there's lots of time at the end for questions. So I might get started. So thank you everyone for coming along. My name is Kat. I'm an implementation manager at Accurx. And yeah, this is the third of our series on booking. So there was one previously in May and then another one at the end of June, talking about all the different functionality that you have through Accurx booking. And last month's was with a guest speaker, Dr. Adam Cliff, talking about his experience using Accurx booking functionality in practice. So what I'll do, as you can hopefully see, this session is being recorded. So I'll be sending a copy of the recording to everyone who registered. Even if you were unable to attend, if you have to drop off at whatever point, or some of your colleagues were interested in coming, but something has come up so they're not able to attend, I'll be sending the recording to everyone who registered. So don't worry about that. But I'll send the links to the previous sessions as well in case you're interested. We've got a slightly packed agenda today. I won't be spending too much time on these top points just because we have already gone through them in the previous webinars, but I'll be talking through what Self-Book is, how you can use the different products in your practice, and go through some of the new products that we've got, well, new features we've got available for our booking functionality. Some of them might have been teased in the first webinar and we can now confirm them in this one. But the main point of today's session is to do a live demonstration so I can show you how to use your Self-Book links in practice. And also give a shout out to our new e-learning pack that you're able to access when I get to that slide. There is also a Q&A box open. So if you've got any questions at any point throughout the session, feel free to use the Q&A. There will be time at the end for any questions, but I do also have a few lovely colleagues on the call who are ready to answer any of your questions as well. So if there's anything that crosses your mind, then feel free to jump in. Just before we get started as well, I wanted to keep this in here. We were talking about this before the 30th of June as the contract that we had with NHS England for funding for the booking module for everyone in England was coming to the end on the 30th of June. And so we just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of that. That has now passed. So a lot of ICBs have procured the booking functionality for practices in their ICB. If you're not sure about whether you have access to the booking functionality or not, or if you want to talk about procuring access, if you know that your practice doesn't have access at this point, then feel free to get in touch with our partnerships team. So that's the email address there. It's just partnerships@accurx.com, and then we can look into that for you. So what is Self-Book? So we've got a couple of different branches of the Self-Book product, which you can see on the screen here. So first of all, we've got our individual booking functionality. So that's if you're just sending a message to a patient, you're able to just send them a link to book into an appointment of your choosing. So maybe if you've got a patient in a consultation at the moment who you want to just refer to get some blood tests done, rather than having them go back to reception and book in, that way you could just send them a link via SMS so that they can just book in at a time that suits them when they get home. So just trying to really make the whole process a lot more streamlined and easier for both yourself working in a practice, but also the patient. We've also got our batch Self-Book product. So this is if you're familiar with batch messaging, that's sending a message to a large cohort of patients all at once. So if you are wanting to invite a group of patients, say for something like their smear test, any patients who are outstanding from their smear tests, you could send one message with a booking link attached to book all of those patients in to a time that suits them to have their smear test. Other things are, if you're looking towards QOF and you're needing to book patients in for something like a health check, then again, all you need to do is have a CSV file with the patient's details, so whoever it is that you want to invite, and then you can send them that specific booking link to book into. We've also got here on the right-hand side just about triaging as well. So with the way general practice is going at the moment, it's becoming a lot more digital. There's a lot more online consultation being done before a patient comes into the practice. So if you are receiving requests from patients and you need to book them in for maybe a routine appointment, then you're able to just send that link to the patient to get them to book into a time that suits them. So rather than either just booking them in and telling them, we've booked you at this time, please come, or having that back and forth trying to call patients to book them into an appointment that suits them, you can now just send them an SMS and they can just click the link and choose a time that they'll be available for. So trying to reduce the amount of back and forth between practice staff and patients, but also making sure patients are selecting that appointment, so it's more likely they'll be able to attend it. So we've kind of talked on this anyway, but the top 4 benefits that we think really shine with booking functionality is, when you're looking at achieving QoF. So long-term conditions and patient inbound can be really managed quite well using the booking functionality. Helping to reduce those DNAs, saving staff time, and then making sure that you are achieving those targets and getting that payment. Also, as I mentioned, saving time, so trying to reduce the amount of time that practice staff have to spend back and forth with patients, calling them, they don't pick up, then they call back, all that kind of thing. So you can just send them a link one time and they can access it and then book in themselves. Enhancing access for patients as well, so they've got the flexibility to choose a time that suits them. Helping them actually attend the appointments and making sure that they aren't just not turning up because they can't make that specific time. And then practice staff, team members can spend more time on the phone with patients who need it. So rather than having to speak with patients who you can just book into these appointments, spending a bit more time with the patients who maybe aren't so comfortable with technology and do need to be spoken to. And then just in general, improving morale. So making everyone's lives a lot easier, streamlining those processes to make sure that you can get through those tasks a lot quicker and have more time for other tasks that you need to get through. So just talking through the latest updates here. So Specify Clinician is one that was really heavily demanded last year. It's one of our most highly requested feature updates, and that is basically giving practice staff the option to select a specific clinician that the patient should be booking in with. So if, for example, you have a slot type that is for all of your GPs in the practice and you want a patient to book in with their usual GP or a GP that they've seen before about this concern, and then you can now select that, so the patient will only see available appointments with that specific clinician. It doesn't just have to be one, it could be a few. So if you're wanting to book a patient in with maybe a female clinician, then you could select all of your female clinicians and send that link to the patient, and then they're only able to book into those specific slot types. We've also recently rolled out, that will be live now. So if you don't have this showing in your product, then please reach out to us because that should be live. And then, looking across sites. So if you're working in a hub working or an enhanced access and you have multiple sites to book patients into, we have recently started rolling out our cross-organisational booking. So that means, as it kind of says on the tin, you can book a patient in with a specific site that might not be connected to your clinical system, for example. So even if you're on EMIS and they're on system 1, we do just have to do a bit of setup on the back end. So that's why it's got that opt-in now functionality. So you just need to let us know if you're wanting to have this set up for your practice, and we can get that set up for you. But yeah, just making sure that you're given the option to share capacity across other sites that you're partnered with, and enhance that access for patients. So if there's nothing available at your site, you can maybe book them in to see someone sooner. And as I mentioned, this is something that you do need to opt into. So if you scan this QR code, you'll be able to join our Facebook community. And there is also a link here, so I'll include that in the follow-up email as well. But on our Facebook community, there's the option to sign up for getting cross-organisational booking set up at your practice. As I said, there's just a few things that we need to set up on our side. So yeah, you can get that set up as soon as possible. And just a little quote here about cross-organisational booking with one of our a data and IT support officer who has been using it. So yeah, within a federation, they offer enhanced access services across multiple practices. This has really streamlined the way the practices can get their patients booked with us. So some great feedback there. Another one that is very hotly anticipated and will be coming in the next week is the ability to schedule invitations that are sent to patients. So this is something I can show you in the demonstration as well, but you're able to schedule appointments further into the future. Previously, you were only able to schedule the messages up till tomorrow at 8 a.m, but we now have the option to schedule up to 6 weeks in advance. So if you are wanting to get ahead of some of the requests that have come through maybe in the morning and you don't want the patient to see the message until a couple of days' time, or if you're wanting to book a patient in for an appointment but you don't need them to book in now because it's a bit too early, then yeah, you can just pick a specific time and date that you want the patient to be sent the message, and then that can all be set up. And then just a reminder on the NHS app. So something we've really been focusing on is enhancing the amount of messages that can go through the NHS app. We appreciate that sending SMS messages can be a cost that adds up as you're sending more and more. And so with the NHS app, that's a great way to send those messages for free. So we've been really increasing the amount that we work with the NHS app. It was initially just batch messages and flow questionnaires, but yeah, from this summer you can now send self-booking links through the NHS app as well. So if you're sending a batch message to book patients in for something like a health check, then if they have the NHS app downloaded and their notifications switched on, then they will receive that message initially through the app. We've also rolled out appointment reminders being sent through the app as well. So yeah, again, if they've got their notifications on, then any appointment reminders that you've got set up at your practice will go through to the NHS app. So this is something we're continuing to try and enhance as well. So keep an eye out. We're looking at other ways that we can increase our usage of the NHS app and try and get more patients using it as well. So let me stop sharing this and I'll get onto, oops. It's always helpful when EMIS logs out just when I'm about to do the demonstration. But yeah, as you can see, I've got EMIS open today. If you're a System 1 user, please don't worry, everything works exactly the same. So yeah, it's just that it will look slightly different in the background. But the main thing is that you will need to get a patient open in your clinical system, and then you can start sending the booking links. So you can see I've got a test patient open already. Now the way to start sending a booking link is to just use the compose a message screen. So if I click that, excuse me, it will bring up all the patient's details. You might be quite familiar with this if you've been sending messages to patients before, but the booking links are just available here on the bottom of the screen. All I need to do is click that link and I'll be able to select, first of all, the organisation. So this is if you've got your cross-organisational booking set up. This is where you can select which organisation you're wanting to book that patient into. And then we've got the appointment types. So either a face-to-face appointment or a telephone appointment. Now, the difference between these is basically just the wording. So that's something to bear in mind. This will not filter the available slot types that will come up in this drop-down. So it's just something to be a bit aware of when you are sending these links, to just pay attention to which appointment type you're selecting and then what slot type you're selecting as well. If you select a face-to-face appointment, then this will get patients to select a specific time. If you're selecting a telephone appointment, then patients will just be given an AM or PM window. So rather than selecting tomorrow at 11 o'clock in the morning, they would be able to just select tomorrow morning. Once I've selected the appointment type, I can then choose from all of our available slot types in our appointment book. So you can see our demo environment doesn't have as many as I'm sure you will have at your practice. But if we just use the routine session for now, this is where you can select which clinician you want patients to book into. If you're happy for patients to book in with any available clinician, then you can leave that selected, and patients will just see every available time. But if I choose to specify a clinician, I can click this and then just select from the available clinicians in this appointment slot type. So if I just select Dr. Accurx, then all I need to do is add the self-book invite. So at this point, you're still able to edit this message if you want to give any extra information to the patient, if you want to reference anything when you are sending this message. Maybe if you are with the patient at the moment, but you're going to schedule this message to be sent in a week or two's time, then you might want to give a little reminder of what it is that you've been speaking about today. But you can also just leave it. It will auto-populate with a generic message along these lines of wanting to book an appointment, and you can just leave it like that if you'd like to. One thing to bear in mind as well, you will see the fragment counter up in the top here. So you can see this message will be 1 fragment. I've got the option of saving this to the patient's record, as with all messages that you send through Accurx. So if you're using EMIS, the message would save as a consultation. In System 1, it would save as a new journal entry. But I can untick that if I don't think that it's actually necessary for this to be saved to the patient's record. And then this is where I can choose to either send a message now or at a specific date and time. So you've got tomorrow at 8 AM as a kind of easy option. And if you are just wanting to send it tomorrow, and you can just select that one. Otherwise, you just click custom date and time, and you just select the date. So as you can see, it can go up until mid-September. If I want to choose the 2nd of September, for example, I can then select which time I'd like to send this to the patient. But for the sake of the demo, I'll send it now so that we can see the patient side as well. So if I just click send now, you'll see the message here, and I have just gotten a text message asking me to book into an appointment. If you've opted not to save the message to the record, then you do have a choice here to save it at a later date if you'd like to. If I just click this link, this is the link that the patient is sent, and they just have to add in their date of birth or use their NHS login, and then they can see the message in its entirety and just click book appointment. When you send the booking links, they are a one-time link that is available for up to 7 days. So if you are sending them to patients, don't worry that you think they might be able to then access your appointment book at any time. That's definitely not how these work. It's as soon as you've booked an appointment, you're not able to access it again. And yeah, if the patient doesn't book within 7 days, then the link will be invalid. The way that it pulls from your appointment book as well, when you send the initial message, we will scrape your appointment book to make sure that we've got the most up-to-date appointment information. And then every half hour after that, we will be continuously scraping that same slot type. So it should be the most up-to-date information. I just select Friday, for example, at 11 AM. So I already had that in my head. Click review. I can see the clinician and where this appointment is booked in for and the date and time. If I just click confirm. At this point, the appointment will be booked into your appointment book. Gosh, I say appointment so many times. So you don't need to worry about copying anything over. Once the patient's booked in, it will go straight into that slot type. Sometimes takes a bit longer depending on your Wi-Fi and your connection, but you can see that has now been booked. When the patient has booked the appointment as well, they're given this option to add the appointment to their calendar. So if I just click that, I can download it to whatever calendar I have on my mobile device, and then I will have that stored in my calendar to access and make sure that I know exactly when that appointment is booked in for. I will also receive a confirmation text, which I can hear has just come through. So that is individual self-book in kind of a nutshell. If I go back to the inbox and find this patient, I can see they've booked an appointment and I can see all the information here. I can add an outcome at another point as well, and I can also reopen it if I need to send a message to that patient. Excuse me. If you are wanting to send a batch self-book, the process is largely similar. All you need to do is click on your initials on the toolbar and come down to batch messaging. I won't go through the whole process just because I appreciate we're just 10 minutes left, and I can see there's some questions there. But the process is the same as sending a normal batch message. So if you just click send a message, you've got the option to select self-book here, and it's the same. So again, selecting what appointment type. You may have noticed when I went to send the individual booking link, it only had these two available, and that's because, as you can see here, this one routine appointment doesn't have any available appointments. So it's a great way to check how many available appointments you've got, and you won't be able to send a booking link for an appointment that doesn't have available appointments. But the rest of it is the same. You're able to select a template if you'd like to, or just type in a message. And again, you can save the message to the record if you'd like to. The differences with batch messaging is you've got the option of including a SNOMED code when you send the message. So for example, this is for something related to QOF, and you want to have a SNOMED code assigned to that patient to show that they have been invited to book in an appointment. Then you can just select from the list here. You can use the search function. So if I do, oops, can't spell, smear, for example, I can use that SNOMED code, and that will be assigned to every patient who is included in the CSV file. The other thing that you've got is the option to allow patients to decline. So if you wanted to include that, there's an extra part of the message that can also have a SNOMED code assigned to it. And so then you've got up-to-date records of who has declined to have one of these appointments. So cervical smear as an example. I appreciate that we only have 7 minutes left, so I will stop sharing briefly so I can have a look at the Q&A. And if you've got anything that you'd like me to show you in these last few minutes, then please feel free to send something through to the Q&A. But I'll just bring that up now. So I can see we've got some of the team members are answering a lot of these messages, but I can see we've got one here from Isabel. How does it work when a patient books into a practice that they are not registered with? How does that look on their practice system? So I'm not 100% sure what you're referring to with that one, because when you're sending the booking link, it will only be to your patients. I guess it might be with the cross-organisational booking. That is something that I would just have to double check for you. It's not something that I have a full view of, as we can't log into other systems. But yeah, we can definitely get back to you on that one. I can make sure that I include that in the follow-up email that I send through. So it's a great question. I will let you know with the cross-organisational booking. It's new, so we're still not 100% familiar with it. But if you are sending, if you're worried about another patient booking into your practice, the links are only linked. If you're just sending an individual booking link to the patient, it will come from your practice, so it will only go to your patients. And just having a look here, we've also got a question about sending a batch message for self-booking with Florries. So at the moment, you're only able to submit one link with the message. So you wouldn't be able to send a questionnaire with a booking link, but I can certainly pass that on to the team as feedback with the booking functionality. We've recently rolled out a couple of things. So we can always take on more feedback and pass it on to the product teams to see if there's something else that they're able to send through. And then I can see we've got another question here about video consultation. So the way that video consultation works is you can have those appointment types set up in your appointment book, and when the clinician or whoever is attending the video consultation is ready, they just send the patient a video booking link. A video kind of a video link so that the patient can join. So you can just have the appointment set up in your appointment book as like a video consultation, and ensure that you've got messaging for the patient to let them know that it will be a video consultation. And then at the time of the appointment, you just send them that an SMS message with the link for the video call at the time. And then I can see here we've also got question around how would self-booking work when it comes to flu jabs? Would it be similar to booking an appointment? So that is when you can use the batch self-book option. So all you need to do is make sure that you're pulling a list of patients who are eligible for flu jabs, and then assigning them to a flu jab appointment type. And then you can send that through and they can book in as normal. And then I can see another question here. When going through a list of batch messages, could a comment box be added so you can add free text what the self-book was for, so you have quick reference to send, failed, and know which ones to do. Yeah, so I can certainly add that as feedback if you're wanting to get extra context in those batch messages. So yeah, I can see sorry, the Q&A box, my team members are very quick and it keeps moving around. But yeah, with the failed messages, those do come up as normal with the batch message. So you can always see any messages that haven't been delivered, and you can download a CSV file of who those patients are who didn't receive that message. But I appreciate, yeah, it might be worth having a kind of comment box. Otherwise, if you are sending quite specific booking appointment types, making sure that slot type is really clear of what kind of appointment this is for, then that might make it a lot clearer as well. But then I can see, sorry, we've got 2 minutes left. So I can see another one here. As a PCN, do we have to adapt our appointment slot properties to accept self-bookings? Also, as cross-organisation, would have to trace all the patient information after the consultation. Yes, so with the cross-organisational booking, you do need to be needs to be set up kind of separately, so it's not something we can just switch on for you. We need to know who the other sites are and get that set up on our side. The way that it works is through GP Connect, so it's definitely something that you need to have set up. But if you are interested, then you just need to go to our Facebook community group and fill out a form, and we can get that all set up for you. So yeah, definitely can be set up. And then we've got another question here. Are you guys working on an update so slot types will say what they're for? Otherwise, mass batch message for different reasons will be extremely time consuming to manually edit the appointment reason. Yeah, so again, this is something that you can do already in your appointment book. So you could have a specific slot type set up for something like flu jabs or anything like that. And then, yeah, you could have that already populated within your appointment book. I'm guessing this is kind of similar to the comment earlier about adding a comment when you're sending the batch message. So again, I can feed that back to our product teams. But yeah, at the moment, it's not something that we're currently working on, but it's something I can definitely pass on to the team. And then I can see, yeah, just one more question. Who do I need to contact to see what contract the old Cole House Surgery used to practice as a practice manager? So we can follow up with you afterwards to check that for you. But yeah, I can see it looks like everything else has been answered by the team, and we're right on time. So I can let you all go. As I said, I will be sending out a copy of the recording as well as the previous two sessions that we ran in May and June. If you've got any other questions, you're more than welcome to reach out to our team. And we've also got that e-learning packet as well, so I can send that through as well if you're interested. Yeah, thank you all so much for coming along today, and so many questions. I can see there's almost 40 questions here, so yeah, thank you so much for coming along and being engaged. And yeah, I'll send the recordings, so yeah, don't worry about that. I'll send it to you today. So everyone who registered will get a copy of the recording. Yeah, that's great. Thank you all so much. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesdays. Bye.